Jonah had always believed that space travel would make life exciting, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The bar he had wandered into was unlike any place on Earth, or even in the dozen colonies he had visited. The walls shimmered faintly, reflecting colors that seemed impossible, like liquid rainbows sliding across metal. Soft lights hovered mid-air, casting gentle glows on the faces of the patrons. Most of them were alien, their forms strange and mesmerizing. Some had translucent skin, some had wings, and some had multiple eyes that blinked independently. Yet they all laughed and spoke in a language Jonah didn't understand. Though somehow the vibrations felt welcoming. Jonah had come for one thing, a drink. He wanted to feel the warmth of something exotic, to taste a flavor he couldn't get in the sterile mess halls of cargo ships. His boots echoed softly on the polished floor as he walked past clusters of creatures, talking in rapid melodic tones. He spotted the bar at the far end, its counter glowing faintly, and approached it cautiously. The bartender, a tall, slender alien with arms that shimmered like spun silver, greeted him with a nod and a gesture he assumed meant welcome. Jonah smiled nervously and said, "One drink, please. Whatever's local and strong." Then he saw her. She was sitting alone, a small table to her side, a faint pendant glowing at her throat. Her skin was the color of opalescent glass, shifting in subtle shades with every movement. Her hair, or what looked like hair, soft filaments of light flowed and shimmered as if caught in a breeze that only she could feel. And her eyes. Jonah had never seen eyes that held entire galaxies within them. They were wide, deep, and intensely alive, and they fixed on him the moment he stepped near. He froze. In all his travels, he had met aliens, diplomats, smugglers, and mercenaries. But she was different. Something about her presence made the hum of the bar fade into silence, like the universe itself had paused. Nervously, he raised his glass in a polite human gesture. "Two, new friends?" he said, hoping it sounded friendly, harmless, casual. Her reaction was immediate. Her hand flew to the glowing pendant at her chest, and she gasped sharply. You have begun it," she whispered, eyes wide with fear and awe. Jonah blinked. "Began what?" he asked cautiously, lowering his glass. "The ceremony," she said, her voice trembling. "By accepting a drink from you, I have begun a ritual that has not been performed in centuries. It is not just a gesture. It binds lives, hearts, and histories." Jonah's stomach twisted. He had only meant a friendly toast, a simple human gesture of kindness. Now, without realizing it, he had pulled them both into something ancient, something larger than himself. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. All he could do was stare at her shimmering eyes, and he felt a strange electric pulse through the room, as if the pendant itself had recognized his presence. Her hands shook slightly as she rose, guiding him toward a quiet chamber at the back of the bar. The walls were covered with symbols, spirals, and glowing lines that pulsed faintly under their fingertips. Jonah's breath caught as he realized these were not mere decorations. They were alive, moving subtly, almost like the walls themselves were watching him. "You do not understand," she said softly. But there was no anger in her voice, only urgency. "A toast in your culture is a simple courtesy. In mine, it is a promise. A bond. You have offered your presence willingly, and I cannot undo it." Jonah swallowed hard. The weight of the moment pressed on him like the gravity of a distant planet. He had no idea what to do. He was a human, simple, ordinary, far from home, and yet, in a single action, he had stepped into a story older than Earth itself. Somewhere deep inside, a spark of determination flickered. He had never wanted to be a hero. But he knew he couldn't walk away, not now, not from her. Not from this moment that had chosen him as much as he had chosen nothing at all. For the first time in his life, Jonah realized that courage wasn't about weapons or strength. It was about standing still when the universe expected you to flee. And somehow, in that glowing, silent chamber with an alien girl who had trusted him without question, he understood that he had already taken the first step. Jonah followed Lyra through the softly glowing corridor, his boots making gentle echoes on the smooth floor. The air seemed thicker here, heavier with history, as if every breath carried whispers of 1,000 generations. Jonah tried to keep his heart steady, but the pulse of the pendant against Lyra's chest seemed to echo in his own chest, and he felt an unfamiliar tension squeeze him from the inside. He had thought he understood responsibility before, hauling cargo across star systems, dealing with hostile pirates, navigating political red tape, but this was something different. This was weight that came from time itself. Lyra stopped at the entrance to a circular chamber. Its walls were covered with intricate carvings that glowed faintly as if powered by some inner life. Jonah stepped closer, eyes wide. The symbols twisted subtly when he blinked, spirals and lines that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. "This," Lyra whispered, her voice soft but urgent, "is the Hall of First Flames. Every mark tells the story of my people. Every symbol holds a memory, a promise, a hope. By accepting a toast from you, I have committed us both to the ceremony of echoing hearts." Jonah swallowed hard. "Ceremony?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know. I only meant a friendly drink." Her eyes softened, though a shadow of fear lingered. "I know," she said. "And yet, the ritual cannot be undone. To refuse would dishonor those who came before me, those whose lives and sacrifices echo in these walls. You must understand. This is not just tradition. It is life, courage, trust. Everything my people believe in is bound to this ceremony. And now, because of you, it begins again." Jonah's mind spun. He was a human, ordinary and fragile compared to the history of a civilization older than most star charts. He had been careful all his life, relied on skill and luck, but this was something he could not calculate, could not plan for. It demanded something different: heart, honesty, a willingness to step into something greater than himself. Lyra extended her hand, her fingers brushing his lightly. "Will you stay?" she asked. "Will you face it with me?" Jonah looked at her, the shimmer of her skin, the glow of the pendant, the living history in her eyes. And then, quietly, he nodded. "I'll stay," he said. "I don't understand everything, but I won't leave you." Her eyes widened in relief, and for a moment, the tension between them eased. But as they stepped further into the chamber, Jonah realized the challenge had only begun. The air grew warmer, the symbols brighter, and a faint hum resonated through the room, vibrating into his bones. Each pulse seemed to call out to him, asking him to prove himself worthy. He tried to steady his breath, to keep calm, but the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes pressed down. "The ceremony tests the heart," Lyra said, guiding him to the center of the room. "Not the mind, not the hands, the heart. It will know your fear, your courage, your honesty. It will know if you are willing to trust, to connect, to risk." Jonah felt his stomach twist. He had risked his life in space many times, facing storms, pirates, and mechanical failures. But this was different. This was a risk of spirit, of self. He felt exposed, small, yet strangely alive. He looked at Lyra, saw the trust in her eyes, and knew he could not fail, not because of pride, not because of duty, but because she had believed in him. The pendant between them pulsed brighter, and Jonah felt a warmth spreading from it into his chest. It was gentle at first, like a quiet ember, then stronger, like a heartbeat that matched his own. He realized something astonishing. The ritual was not about fear or power. It was about connection. It was about proving that even a human so fragile and new in the vast galaxy could stand with her, could share in the courage of her people, could honor something ancient and sacred. He took a deep breath, feeling the hum of the chamber in his bones. I don't fully understand," he admitted, voice steady. "But I will not turn away. I will stay with you. Whatever comes, I will stay." Lyra's lips curved into the faintest smile, a mixture of relief and hope. "Then we begin," she said softly. "And may our hearts echo true." Jonah's heart thudded loudly in the quiet chamber as he followed Lyra to the center. The walls glowed brighter now, casting shifting shadows that seemed alive. Jonah could feel the weight of the ceremony pressing on him like gravity, unseen, but undeniable. He had faced dangers in space storms that shredded metal, pirates with weapons sharper than thought, but nothing had ever tested him like this. This was not a physical test. It was a test of trust, of spirit, of courage. Lyra stopped in the center and turned to him. "The ceremony of echoing hearts demands honesty," she explained, her voice low and trembling. "It will look into your heart, your mind, your memories. It will find your fear, your hope, your regret. It will not lie. Are you ready?" Jonah swallowed, feeling sweat bead on his forehead despite the chamber's warmth. He thought of home, the earth he had left behind, the empty cargo bays he called rooms, the long stretches of lonely space. He thought of all the mistakes he had made, the lives he had touched or ignored, and the courage he had never realized he possessed. Could he show that courage now? Could he stand true before an alien world and a ritual older than humanity itself? I am ready," he said finally, his voice steady even as his hands shook. "I will face it." Lyra's pendant flared brightly, and a soft vibration hummed through the floor beneath them. Suddenly, images filled the chamber like holograms, towering cities of Lyra's ancestors, battles fought for survival, ceremonies performed under starlight, and sacrifices made to protect their people. Jonah's breath caught. He could feel the emotions in the visions: pride, fear, hope, sorrow. Each scene looked at him, as if judging his worth. "Do not fear what you see," Lyra whispered, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "The ritual does not punish. It understands. You must feel it, not run from it." Jonah closed his eyes. He let the visions wash over him, letting himself feel the lives, the struggles, the beauty of a civilization far older than humanity. He felt pain, yes, but also wonder. He felt connection, not only to Lyra but to the countless souls who had come before her. His own fears, the loneliness of space, the uncertainty of life, the smallness of being human, rose up, and then slowly he let them go. A pulse of energy surged through the room. Jonah opened his eyes to see the symbols on the walls shifting, forming a pathway of glowing lines leading outward. Lyra's eyes met his, wide with awe. "The ritual sees you as worthy," she said softly. "But now comes the final step. You must prove your courage by action, not words." Before he could respond, the floor beneath them trembled. A low hum became a roar, and the glowing lines on the walls twisted into complex patterns that seemed to reach for them. Jonah instinctively grabbed Lyra's hand. "I've got you," he said, his voice steady despite the rising fear. The energy surged again, brushing against them like a living wind. It tested him, pushing him to the edge of panic. Jonah focused on one thing: keeping Lyra safe. He moved with purpose, tracing the glowing lines on the floor with her guidance, their hands brushing repeatedly. Each touch seemed to stabilize the energy, calming the chaos that threatened to overwhelm the chamber. "You are extraordinary," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible over the pulsing hum. "No human has ever completed this step. You are. You are part of us now, by courage alone." Jonah felt a warmth surge through him. Not from the pendant, not from the energy, but from the realization that humans, ordinary humans, could rise to moments far beyond their imagining. He had no advanced technology, no centuries of tradition, no ancestors watching from beyond the stars. He had only heart, only presence, only the willingness to act when fear pressed down. As the energy subsided, the chamber fell silent again, the glowing lines dimming to a soft shimmer. Jonah breathed heavily, gripping Lyra's hand. She looked at him, eyes full of gratitude and awe. "You have passed the trial of connection," she said. "Not because of skill, but because you dared to care." Jonah smiled faintly, exhausted but alive in a way he had never felt. He had entered this chamber as a visitor, a simple human looking for a drink. Now he realized he had become something more. He had become part of a story older than stars. Part of a ritual that demanded courage, and he had stood true. For the first time, Jonah understood the real meaning of bravery, not in fighting, not in surviving, but in being willing to open one's heart to the unknown, to another being, to the echo of history itself. The chamber had quieted, but Jonah could feel the lingering pulse of energy beneath his feet. It was not dangerous now, but alive, watching, waiting, testing. He glanced at Lyra. Her eyes, still wide with awe, held something deeper now: hope, trust, and a subtle fear of what was still to come. Jonah squeezed her hand gently, trying to give her strength as much as he needed it for himself. "The ritual is not finished," Lyra said softly, her voice like wind over starlight. "The trial of connection is next. You must not only feel the history of my people, but also connect your heart to mine. The ceremony demands honesty, vulnerability, and understanding. It will know if you hold back." Jonah swallowed, a lump forming in his throat. He had never been asked to open himself in such a complete way. In his life, he had faced storms, pirates, and isolation, but this was something else entirely. This was exposure of the soul. And yet, he could not refuse. Not now. Not when her trust was shining so brightly before him. He nodded, and together they moved to the center of the chamber, where the symbols on the floor glowed faintly. Lyra instructed him to place his hand on the pendant that hovered between them. The warmth was immediate, radiating not just to his skin but to his heart, to a part of him he had kept guarded for years. He felt his memories, fears, and hopes swirl together, and for the first time, he let them breathe. "Focus on your feelings," Lyra whispered. "Do not think. Do not hide. Let the ritual see the truth of you." Jonah closed his eyes. He remembered Earth, its vast oceans, quiet forests, the laughter of friends he had left behind. He remembered his mistakes, the lives he had touched and the ones he had ignored. He thought of his loneliness in space, the nights spent staring at distant stars, wondering if anyone truly understood him. And then he felt something stronger than fear. Care. Care for Lyra. Care for the trust she had placed in him. Care for the idea that even one human could rise to meet an ancient tradition without faltering. The pendant's glow pulsed, matching his heartbeat. Then a soft warmth extended from it, linking him and Lyra together. The chamber shimmered around them, and holographic visions appeared not of her people's history, this time, but of their shared potential. A life of trust, of friendship, of understanding stretched before them like a bridge across time. Jonah could feel it, see it, and most importantly believe it. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. The floor shifted slightly, the glowing symbols forming new patterns that twisted and danced like flames. Lyra's hand tightened on his. "Do not fear," she said, her voice trembling. "The ritual tests not only courage, but patience and empathy. You must move together, as one." Jonah nodded. He reached out, matching her movements, tracing the intricate glowing patterns with her guidance. Every step required trust, every motion demanded presence. If he faltered, the energy pulsed more violently. He stumbled once, his heart racing, but Lyra's calm, steady gaze anchored him. He breathed deeply, letting the rhythm of her movements guide him. Slowly, the chamber's turbulence eased. "You see now," Lyra whispered, "it is not just a test of strength. It is a test of connection. The ritual seeks proof that two beings from different worlds can align hearts and intentions. That is what allows our histories to echo together." Jonah felt a tear prick his eye. He had always thought humans were small, insignificant in the vast galaxy. But here, standing in a chamber older than Earth's oldest cities, he realized the truth. Courage, empathy, and trust were as powerful as any weapon, any starship, any technology. One human heart, fully open, could meet the strength of an entire ancient civilization. As the chamber settled, the glow dimmed to a soft shimmer. Lyra's eyes shone with gratitude and awe. "You have passed the trial of connection," she said softly. "You have shown that human courage is not in muscle or machine, but in heart. You have proven it today." Jonah exhaled slowly, exhaustion and relief mingling. He had entered this ritual as a stranger, a simple human seeking nothing more than a drink. But now he was more than that. He had become part of something ancient, something sacred. Something that would endure long after the stars themselves had faded. For the first time in a long while, Jonah understood something profound. Being human did not mean being weak. It meant being capable of extraordinary empathy, courage, and connection capabilities that could echo across worlds, across species, and even across time. And standing there, hand in hand with Lyra, he knew that he was ready for whatever came next. Jonah barely had a moment to catch his breath before the chamber trembled beneath their feet. The glowing symbols that had once pulsed gently now flared violently, throwing bright streaks of light across the walls. The warmth of the pendant intensified, almost burning his chest. Jonah looked at Lyra and saw fear flash in her eyes for the first time since he had met her. "It's reacting to your fear," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Fear?" Jonah asked, confused. "But I'm not afraid." "You may not realize it," Lyra said, tightening her grip on his hand. "But the ritual senses hesitation, doubt, and even the smallest flicker of uncertainty. It responds to it." The chamber shuddered again, louder this time, and a wave of energy swept over them. Jonah instinctively stepped in front of Lyra, shielding her with his body. He could feel the energy brushing against him like a living thing, probing, testing, measuring his resolve. Panic threatened to rise, but he swallowed it down. He had faced worse storms in deep space, worse dangers than this, and somehow, that memory gave him clarity. Lyra pointed to the walls where the symbols had begun shifting into a chaotic pattern. "You must stabilize it," she cried. "Trace the lines with me. Focus. Our movements must sync. If we fail, the chamber may react unpredictably." Jonah nodded, feeling a surge of determination. He reached out, brushing against the glowing paths alongside Lyra. The warmth from her hand flowed into him, grounding his racing thoughts. Step by step, they moved, following the intricate twists of the lines, their motions perfectly synchronized. Every time their hands touched, the symbols pulsed in harmony, and the chamber calmed slightly. Boo! If they faltered, The energy surged again, like a storm threatening to tear them apart. The challenge was exhausting. Jonah's mind and body ached, but he refused to falter. He realized something profound. This ritual was not only about Lyra, nor even about her people. It was about testing the human heart, its capacity for focus, empathy, courage, and unity under pressure. Every instinct he had ever relied on as a human reason, experience. Resilience was being pushed to its limits, and yet, it was the one thing the ritual recognized and rewarded. The chamber vibrated violently once more, and Jonah felt his resolve waver. Doubts crept in. Was he enough? Could a simple human truly stabilize something this ancient? The fear threatened to overwhelm him, but then he looked at Lyra. Her eyes were steady, not with fear, but with trust. She believed in him. And that trust ignited something within him stronger than any doubt. Courage. He focused, letting go of hesitation, letting the warmth from her hand and the rhythm of the ritual guide him. Slowly, the chaotic symbols began to straighten, glowing in a steady, harmonious pulse. The energy calmed, surrounding them like a soft embrace instead of a storm. Jonah exhaled, a sense of relief and triumph washing over him. Lyra looked at him, awe and gratitude shining in her gaze. You did it," she said, voice trembling. No outsider, no human, has ever stabilized this step without losing themselves to the ritual. You are extraordinary." Jonah smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," he said, glancing down at her hand in his. "Together. You and me. That's what made it work." She nodded, tears glimmering at the edges of her eyes. "Perhaps humans. Perhaps you are capable of more than I ever imagined," she whispered. "Your courage, your heart. It echoes through this chamber, through our history. You are not just a visitor here, Jonah. You are part of this now." For the first time, Jonah understood the full weight of what it meant to be human. Humans might be fragile, they might be young in the galaxy. But in moments that demanded empathy, bravery, and trust, they could rise to heights that no machine, no weapon, no ancient ceremony could measure. The chamber settled completely, the symbols dimming to a gentle, steady glow. Jonah leaned against the cool wall, heart racing, hands still holding Lyra's. In the silence that followed, he realized something wonderful. Fear could test them, danger could challenge them. But the human heart, when guided by courage and care, could endure, and even triumph in ways no ritual had seen in centuries. And as he looked at Lyra, glowing with relief and admiration, Jonah knew that this shared triumph was the first of many echoes they would create together, proof that humanity, even in a galaxy of ancient civilizations, could shine brightly. The chamber was quiet now, bathed in a soft, steady glow. Jonah's chest heaved from the exertion of the trial, his skin still tingling from the energy that had surged through them moments before. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes wide with awe, still clutching the pendant that had guided them through the ritual. Jonah could see the relief in her expression, but also something deeper, a quiet reverence, as if the ritual had revealed not just her own history, but the potential she had never imagined in someone like him. "You have done more than survive," Lyra said softly, her voice filled with wonder. "You have connected. You have shown a human heart can reach the depth of a civilization that has endured for thousands of cycles. That is no small thing." Jonah swallowed, overwhelmed by the weight of her words. He had never considered himself extraordinary. A human in a galaxy filled with beings older, stronger, and wiser than him, it had always seemed impossible to leave a mark. And yet, here, standing in the heart of an ancient ritual, he realized that humanity had a quiet strength no one had ever measured: empathy, courage, and a willingness to act when others might falter. The pendant floated between them, pulsing gently. A soft warmth spread from it, enveloping Jonah and Lyra in a cocoon of light. Images appeared in the air, not of battles or ancestors this time, but of possibilities. Visions of friendship, trust, shared courage, and connection stretched before them like threads of light, weaving a tapestry across time and space. Jonah could see himself small and human, standing alongside Lyra, participating in something vast, something eternal. He felt a deep understanding flood through him. The ritual was not a test of power or knowledge, it was a test of heart, of willingness to care, to act with honesty, to trust across differences. Jonah realized that what the ritual had seen in him was the very thing humanity had cultivated in quiet ways: resilience not just of the body, but of spirit. Compassion that could bridge worlds. Courage that could echo across galaxies. Lyra reached out, letting the pendant hover closer to Jonah's chest. The warmth touched his skin, then seeped deeper, embedding itself in his chest, as if marking him as part of something eternal. "This," she said softly, "is the gift of understanding. You do not belong to my people by birth or blood, but by trust, by heart, by courage. You are part of our story now." Jonah felt a surge of emotion he could not name. Pride, wonder, humility, all mingled and overflowed. He had come here for a simple drink, seeking nothing more than a moment's rest and a taste of the unfamiliar. And yet, through one gesture, one choice, he had stepped into a bond that spanned lifetimes. He looked at Lyra, seeing gratitude, respect, and a quiet joy in her eyes. I don't know what to say," he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. "I never expected any of this." She smiled softly. "You do not need words," she said. "Your presence, your courage, your willingness to face the unknown. That is enough. That is everything." Jonah realized she was right. He had thought heroism was grand gestures, daring rescues, or feats of strength. But true courage, the kind that mattered, was quiet, subtle, human. It was staying when it was easier to flee. It was trusting when fear whispered otherwise. It was caring when nothing guaranteed reward. For the first time, Jonah felt truly connected to something larger than himself. Not through technology, not through skill, not through knowledge, but through the simplest yet most powerful human trait, heart. And he understood finally why Lyra's ancestors had entrusted the ritual to the worthy, why it had endured for centuries. It was a reminder that courage and compassion could outshine the most ancient of fears, even across worlds and species. As the chamber's glow softened, Jonah felt an inner calm settle over him. The trial was not over, not yet, but he was no longer a visitor. He was part of this story, part of Lyra's people's history, and part of a bond that transcended worlds. And for the first time in his life, he understood the depth of humanity's true power. And standing there, hand in hand with Lyra, Jonah knew one thing for certain: being human, in the vast galaxy, was nothing short of extraordinary. The chamber had quieted completely now. The glow from the symbols had dimmed to a soft, steady light, and the pendant that had guided them pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the ritual itself. Jonah and Lyra stood side by side, hands still lightly clasped, feeling the calm after a storm that had tested them both in ways neither could have predicted. The fear, the tension, the tests, all of it had passed, leaving something stronger in its place: trust, connection, and understanding. Lyra looked at Jonah, her eyes reflecting the gentle luminescence of the chamber. "A toast," she said softly, holding a small glass filled with a glowing liquid. "This time, it is just a drink. No ritual, no ancient ceremony, just a simple gesture between two friends." Jonah laughed quietly, shaking his head. "I think we earned that," he said, his voice filled with warmth. He accepted the glass, feeling the soft glow against his fingers. The warmth was comforting, but it was nothing compared to the warmth he felt in his chest from courage, from trust, from the bond he now shared with Lyra. They clinked their glasses gently. The sound echoed in the chamber, soft and musical, as if the walls themselves were celebrating. Jonah realized in that moment that a simple gesture, a toast, had led to something far greater than he could have imagined. It had started a journey, a ritual, and had transformed in ways no one could measure. "You know," Lyra said, her voice thoughtful, "I doubted for a moment that a human could pass this ritual. I thought, perhaps your kind was too fragile, too fleeting. But you have proven me wrong." Jonah smiled softly, feeling pride and humility in equal measure. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "You guided me. You trusted me, and I just tried to be human. That's all." Lyra's eyes softened, filled with gratitude and admiration. "And that is enough," she said. "Your heart, your courage, your empathy. That is what this ritual was seeking. Not power, not skill, not strength, but a heart that could echo through time. And you, Jonah, have shown that a human heart can shine brighter than stars." Jonah felt a lump in his throat. He had traveled across galaxies, seen wonders beyond imagination, fought dangers that could have destroyed him, but this acknowledgement, this connection, was more meaningful than anything else. He realized something profound. Humans were fragile, yes, but also capable of extraordinary courage, understanding, and empathy. One human heart could stand beside ancient civilizations, could bridge worlds, and could leave an impact that echoed across generations. The pendant pulsed one last time, glowing softly, and then hovered quietly between them. It was a symbol of completion, of trust, of shared history and promise. Jonah felt a sense